So today we're going to be reading Zechariah chapter 7 verses 9 and 10. Thus says the Lord of hosts, execute true justice, show mercy and compassion, everyone to his brother. Do not oppress the widow or the fatherless, the alien or the poor. Let none of you plan evil in his heart against his brother. So this might sound a little redundant. We talked about it last week in that verse when we read Zechariah. But here we echo again about the good Christian conduct. Really, this is actually a good conduct for any person to have, whether you're Christian or not. But it's much more important and marks or differentiates a Christian from a non-believer, right? So God has called each of us, because this is from the mouth of God himself, because Zechariah says the Lord of hosts says. So we ought to execute true justice. Justice, if you're unfamiliar, is basically to be fair, to be just, right? So we ought to be fair in everything that we do. We should be no respecter of persons, like God is no respecter of persons. He doesn't show favoritism, and we ought to not show favoritism as well. We ought to treat people fairly at all times, regardless if we like them better or not. Disclaimer. So also we should show mercy and compassion really to everybody, right? But Zechariah here, God says that everyone to his brother, that we should show compassion, everyone to his brother, basically everybody. We should be showing mercy, forgiving others, doing right, being thoughtful and empathetic and compassionate towards others at all time. We also should not be oppressing the poor, the stranger, the person that's maybe just didn't like you or rude to you. We ought to have that good conduct at all times, giving to people good when they don't deserve it. Because why? God gave us good, right? And his name is Jesus Christ, and when we don't deserve him. God is always going to be our example and our standard for living. And I pray that each and every one of us would also show compassion and mercy and true justice and fairness and rightness and don't oppress others. That way God will be glorified always.